to books before that we know. As he said, we have authors coming from Liberia, the United States, the Europe, and what have you. With those, with the Rogo that they themselves go through to do publications, we do not think with their presence we underperform. We look forward to a very high level performance, quality performance, because we are invested in this project. It brought us our national stability, on national unity of this country, and on the peace and development of this country. So we consider it a very, very important project, the national history project of this country.
So doing the validation, you intend to get others like ordinary, people and diaspora as well. Because I mean, when you were talking about an inclusive history, when you were validating that history, I think it should include also, others. It should be very inclusive in terms of participants during the validation. Do you have plans for that?
Yes, as I said earlier, the important thing would be to protect the intellectual property rights of the authors.
Okay.
Once that is done, there's nothing wrong with putting the drafts in the public domain.
Okay.
For as much comments as possible. And we took those comments very seriously.
Okay, so you can participate by calling 0555-995-995 or 0777-700-995 and be live on the program Accountability Hour. We have Professor Alaric Tokpa. Is the chairperson of the Governance Commission. This is a commission that has been playing very pivotal role in our governance system in Liberia. This is the commission that drafted several legislations that led to the establishment of several institutions we have in Liberia. This is where we, reconstruct or sort of, redesign how our government should look and make amends in terms of ensuring that there's improvement in the governance system in Liberia. And their project now that they're focused on, amongst many other things, is the Liberia National History Project, and they're doing all they can to ensure that this project is up and running. This is intended to, rewrite an inclusive history of Liberia. We've been complaining over time. We don't have an inclusive history. Our history is one-sided. It reflects one group of people. This is a turn now for us to correct that, and that's what you're doing. Let's take this person. Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning.
Go ahead.
This is Washington Mova. I call from Chukostan.
Let's hear you.
I used to listen to this program, and sometimes people call the office will not really be regular in answering people. Sometimes go information to them. Sometimes will not even just quite a phone. Of course, one of the guests in the studio they said something about our history, and it's important that we reread our history. But for me, if our president today maybe negotiate with Donald Trump that their liberal be colonized, our history, and I will going to lobby with him for liberal to be colonized, because our country is not very known who colonized this country. They will say NGOs. How will NGO will colonize a country? So our country is conflicted. Today you see somebody who can explain. The let's say the other person can explain different things. So it's good for our history to be rewritten, and I support them.
Okay.
I support them.
Thank you very much. Go ahead.
Hello?
Yeah, go ahead quickly.
Yeah. Okay, so come to corruptions now. There are people that do people all around in this place. I don't know whether restricted to government or people that harm people or inculcated to your responsibility to cover that too. That's my question there.
I mean, yes, you can report those incidences to Centas Advocacy and Legal Advice Center. The number is 4432. Once you do that,
my problem with them is that when you point out to get information, I don't know what it is now, but I particular fellow that are responsible for that.
Okay, we will work around that to improve that. Wherever we have issues, we are working very hard to correct that. So let's hear from you, Prof, around the next steps for the project.
Well, let me thank the caller firstly. I wouldn't think it would be a good idea for Liberia to be colonized because the history of colonization in Africa is a negative history. He says something about how to deal with the crimes and what have you. To digress, we are in consultation. The question may not have come to the Governance Commission directly, though. But we're in consultation with stakeholders on how to address substance abuse in Liberia. There are models that we're looking at the moment. As I said earlier, in terms of next step, we are doing our best to finalize the compilation of contributors and authors.
Okay.
We are having an engagement with the University of Liberia because the project has to be hosted. We are arranging engagement with the Ministry of Education. We're doing our best to look for counterpart funding, in addition to what the government of Liberia will be able to commit. And once we can assure authors that we are able to meet the conditions that is agreed for their participation in the project, then we can be sure that the project is on course, and that hopefully, under 5 years' time, the project can be completed.
If I may add to it too, the next step will require reviewing the budget. As Professor Tokba said earlier, we had from 2013 we had a budget of $5 million. So we reviewed that budget. The panel of experts will be reviewed also. Even the advisory committee that the Governance Commission chairs and the Ministry of Education co-chair, we're going to review the composition of that committee. So these are all part of the next step.
Okay, so I mean, UNESCO commitment. You mentioned about UNESCO. Have you gotten commitments in terms of, if not funding, but support and capacity support in others? Because they've been around this whole history thing.
We've not received funding commitment yet.
Okay.
We are in the process of arranging that, but we have stakeholders that were not only providing leadership in UNESCO in this country before, who are very interested in the project, who are associating with us to engage in necessary institutions and authorities that are able to help us move this forward.
You're talking about reviewing the budget. I mean, are you considering difference in terms of realities, different trends? Because this budget, the $5 million budget was in 2013, right?
Yeah.
And are you also considering changing context in terms of you having more people, more writers? Would a review, are you optimistic that the review is going to contribute towards either, pushing the budget upwards a little bit or trimming it down further?
Well, all options on the table.
We have critically reflected on this actually.
Okay.
And our first attitude was that if it is possible, we reduce the budget.
Okay.
But we cannot do that unrealistically.
There you go.
So whatever reality suggests is what we're going to work with, and pray and hope that we have government of Liberia support and counterpart funding that will be able to complement government support to ensure that the project is implemented as excellently as possible.
Okay, so I mean, in terms of funding commitment, I'm very keen on funding commitments because this is, I mean, where the chip will lie. You can do all of the consultations, you can have all of the stakeholders consulted, and you can have all of the beautiful plans. If you don't have funds, you're not going to do that. What have you heard from the government? I know there are different priorities, competing development challenges. Have they told you, or have they, from the different consultations you've had, is it very positive that, something is going to happen?
The attitude of those we are engaging is positive. There's enthusiasm on all sides. But we do not definitely have any funding commitment yet.
Okay.
But we do know that once the project is viable and in a national interest, there are stakeholders who, once the means is available, will not hesitate to provide some funding. And as is usually said, there are some low-hanging fruits. There are some low-hanging fruits. There are things that can be done actually without too much money. And we're going to move in those directions as early as possible. But eventually, if there's an author in the United States and his work has to be subjected to review, and he has to present that in a conference, you have to ensure that the person travels to Liberia and back. Those are some of the areas in which I think funding may become a little heavier. But normally, there's an average that you provide for people who contribute chapters to a project. It depends too on the context, on their own requirements, but in general, there's an average contribution you make to them. If we look in those directions, it looks like. And thankfully, technology has made things a little more easier because it is very possible for somebody to present online.
Yeah.
Okay.
So with that, it is possible it can also, severely reduce the cost of travel.
Let's hear this person. Good morning.
Yeah, good morning, the studio host.
Let's hear you quickly.
My name is Howard King, and I'm calling from 12th Street.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I want to say good morning to your studio guests. They have made a remarkable statement regarding the Liberian History Project. But I want to emphasize on the inclusion of one of the key stakeholders regarding that process, and it is the Center for National Documents and Record Agency,
Okay.
the National Archives. You should know clearly that the National Archive hosts a lot of historical documents, specifically with the public documents on government activities. So I just call to throw a key light on that.
Okay, thank you very much.
On the National Archives.
Thank you very much. I think they are noting that.
Yeah.
And I think that's something they would consider as part of the plans.
And
I
let
can
me
say
just say that
something.
I really appreciate his contribution. As you said correctly, we've taken clear note of that. If you visit even our National Museum on Broad Street, visit the Centennial Pavilion in Providence Island, and you see the curators up there, you'll find that Liberia is rich in history. We did that when we had a delegation from Sierra Leone a month and a half ago. We took that delegation to the museum, to the Centennial Pavilion, and to Providence Island, and they were very, very excited to know that Liberia has so rich a background, a historical background, and we ourselves were very excited. Some of the narratives we do know, but if you see young Liberians who are taking care of those facilities, narrating the history of this country with confidence and with facts, you get very excited to appreciate the need to document our national history.
Okay, so
And let me just thank that caller from 12th Street, and I can assure him that even on the formation of the advisory committee, the National Archive, in 2013 we formed it, the National Archive is on board.
okay, let's hear this person too as well. Good morning. Good morning. Let me see. Good morning. Good morning. Hello. Oh, I think this person is not paying attention. We'll have to end it here. I'm deeply concerned about funding, and so I wouldn't know as to whether you have plans to expand your funding sourcing to include maybe GoFundMe or fund drive. What are you thinking around that? Yes, go ahead.
No, the strategy is not limited only to government and UNESCO, for example. You're right. All those are possibilities.
Are you? I mean, there are possibilities, but do you have that as part of your plan, or you embed that as of today?
At the moment, I can say for you, thanks for the suggestion, because those are strategies and tactics we can include.
Okay. Also, do you have other plans, media related, to increase visibility, around this project? Because you need to get public buy-in around this project. How do you intend, or do you already have plans to further engage the media around the project and to get public buy-in?
Yes. We do. We have arranged in the coming days and weeks press conferences, some engagement with stakeholders that will be covered by the media, specifically around this project and other flagship programs that we are trying to implement. We are rearranging the outlook of our website, and hopefully very soon we have a website that will be populated with our activities. There's no question about the fact that social media engagement will be encouraged as well, and that the mainstream media is actually one of our main targets.
Okay, so I mean, let's go around the table to get some maybe parting comments, because time is gradually running down. I mean, generally, what's your core? We start with you, the policy analyst. What's your core? What are you? I mean, just give your parting comments around calling on people to join the cause. What some of the things you expect from different stakeholders around this project?
Yes, we highly encourage everyone to come on board. It's not a one-person thing. It's not only government. I know the government will be the lead person on it, but we look forward to everyone coming on board. Like in 2013, when we launched the Liberian National History Project, it was even UNICEF, UNESCO also even contributed some funding at that time. Even the money that we used to renovate the office space at the university came from donations from UNICEF. So we look forward to everyone coming on board, because the history will be very rich and inclusive. We even looking at going to review our national symbols and all will be in that history.
Oh, it's part of the review, right?
Yes.
Okay.
So you will see these, our symbols, is have been controversial. You look at it, you being admitted in the Himine Order of African Redemption, the knighthood of the Pioneer. We want something with some indigenous background too. So all of that will be reviewed.
Did that come up during the policy dialogue? Did people flag the fact
Yes.
that the symbol had
Yes,
issues?
even with the seals, the love of Liberty Brothers, that it was flagged out too.
Okay. So,
So all of those things will be reviewed.
the national awards,
Yes.
were, was that one of the issues raised in that
Yes,
policy dialogue?
it was raised in the national award, the other symbols like the seal and all those. Even the national anthem, people flag it out too.
Were there recommendations to were there specific recommendations on what should be the seal, or what should the seal look like?
The seal, the basic thing that I had contention on was the inscription that the love of literature brought us here. Some people said no, they were here first. They didn't bring them here. So that controversy, maybe.
I think even the plow, right?
Yeah.
That the plow was not used originally in Liberia. It's not being used in Liberia. Why should we have it on our national seal?
Okay. So let's come to you, Professor Tokpa, to wrap up this conversation around the project.
I just want to encourage every stakeholder, national, international, the academy, the universities, civil society leaders and actors, government officials, leading personalities in our country, elders, and everybody to take interest in this history project and to support the project morally, financially, in any way they can. I also want to emphasize that there is a need for Liberians to begin to encourage themselves to read. Parents must encourage their children to read. Friends must encourage friends to read. Because what good is a history when it is not read when written? So this is one attitude of Liberians that we have to improve as we go on encouraging support for the project. We'd like to encourage Liberians to take interest in reading as much as possible. There is a saying in Liberia that when you want to hide something from a Liberian man or woman, you should hide it in book.
Okay.
I don't think this is good. Reading is very important. So we encourage people to appreciate the reading process. We encourage all stakeholders to support this project because we think it is very important for our national survival, for the building of peace, for the promotion of unity, and for reconciliation.
Okay, thank you very much. That was the voice of Professor Alaric Tokpa. He's the acting chairperson of the Governance Commission. And sadly, we cannot take calls anymore because that's all the time we have for this edition of the program, Accountability Hour. We also had, along with Professor Tokpa, our Ramesses or Port, he's a policy analyst there at the Governance Commission, and they were here talking about the Liberia National History Project and some of the efforts that has been made by the Governance Commission to ensure that this project is back up and running. They've learned from previous challenges that confronted the project in 2013, and they are correcting those issues. They are working behind the scenes. They're working on the scene as well to ensure that these things are addressed and that the National History Project is back. And that's all the time we have for this edition of the program, Accountability Hour. We'll be back here next Wednesday, and sadly that will be our final edition for this year. Next Wednesday's edition is our final edition for this year. Be back hopefully next year, God's willing. But until that time, my name is Edward Blamo. I have been your host, and I'm responsible for media and communications as entire. And I would like to encourage you out there, in case you stumbled upon corruption, you are in an office and you see somebody, involvement into patronage, for example, into bribery, extortion, sextortion, the different forms of corruption. You have a responsibility. You have something to do. You have a duty as well, and that duty is to report that incident to Center by calling 4432. Once you dial 4432, Center has paid both Lone Star and Orange GSM, so you are not going to pay for that service. The call you make, Center is going to pay for that call. All you need to do is to call and report corruption, and let the lawyers at Center analyze that issue and submit to the Liberia Anti-Corruption Commission, which is the institution statutorily responsible to investigate and prosecute corruption-related offenses. That's the only way we can succeed in the fight against corruption. That's the only way we can change this country and make it better for all of us. Until next Wednesday, bye-bye.